What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. Before we jump into this, I want to say to you guys, thank you for the support on the Marvel's Avengers video. Like I said, I'm going to produce content that's fun to me, and having you guys support that content is even more fun. So thank you so much for that. On a second note, hit that like and subscribe button, because every subscription helps me and helps this channel grow, and it helps with that YouTube algorithm anyways, right? So let's jump right into this. Basically, what I want to give you guys is a little bit of update on where I'm at with my Doctor Strange. I noticed my man Busy posted inside one of the things he put down there. He was like, oh shit, your Doctor Strange is going strong. I want to see what's going on with your build. So I decided I'm gonna give you guys a little insight into what I'm doing with my Doctor Strange. Right now, I want to point out to you guys, so this is going to be something that I really want players to notice inside here. My power level is set at about 1.38 million, so I'm pretty close to 1.4 million. But I'm gonna let you guys see something real quick inside here, okay? So if you go inside records or rankings, and you go to the elite rankings and you pull up the character, Monkey Fuck, aka Yags, is sitting in the top over here at 1.8 million. You can see my man Busy sitting there about 1.5 million, and then Injustice Legends sitting there about 1.4, and you can see that I am sat here at 1.4 as well. Now the reason why I bring this up in order to show you this is because a number of reasons, right? This build right here, I can get my character up to 1.416 million, and that's specifically with this build that's registered in here. So you're going to notice some costumes, and you'll also notice that there's some cards in here that are a lot different than the build that I am utilizing right now. You can even look at some of the Omega cards inside here that are equipped, and you'll notice that there's some differences as well. But overall, the build is still the same. So I want to show you guys, overall the build is not still the same, it's different. And you'll notice I can't pull it up. See, so you can't pull up the specific statistics inside here to show you those. But the reason why that number in terms of power looks very different from what I'm showing you now on the screen at 1.38 is because I stopped attack chasing, and I think it's going to be best for you guys to do that as well. It feels really like intuitive, or just like default for players to want to chase attack inside of a game and to get those hit those power level caps that people are there, like, I gotta chase that 1 million, or I gotta chase that 1.2, especially because the game throws it out there in your face anyways, right? But there's gonna be things that's important for you guys to really notice, and some things that I actually noticed in my Doctor Strange build. Doctor Strange still is a bad character because of the same things that we talked about before, and you're gonna notice that inside here when I pull up this build for you guys. So I want to show you guys some things that I did, right? I want to point out to you guys that I basically spent about 14,000 crystals. Yeah, about 15,000 crystals. Do that right here. Boom. All right, so that was about 14,000 crystals that I spent inside the game. I'm going to show you guys me spending those crystals because it looks pretty bad overall. All right, so now that you've seen those crystal spins, I want to point out to you guys, I didn't really get a lot inside there. I basically was looking at Omega cards, and I'm looking to fulfill the card sets inside here. Mostly, I'm looking to get this Spider-Man card right here inside the Dark Zone, because it's a really good card, and I'm hoping to get it with this so that way I can go a 4-set for Defense Pierce. But right now, that's just not in the in the books. So I want to show you overall my stats, because I know this is going to be a thing that most people want to see immediately for stats. Okay, so basically inside here you can see my stamina recovery is set at about a 160. The cap on stamina is literally 200%, so I'm literally more than, you know, 75% of the way there now. I'm like over that, and I can tell you right now that I'm still running into issues with stamina recovery in terms of utilizing skills and having them uptime. Me and Busy spoke about this in one of the videos I produced where we deep dive discussion with him, and he said he wasn't having any issues with stamina recovery. I still view it as an issue with stamina recovery, having to basically roll off my skills maybe 1 or 2 times and then having to back away from the fight to let that stamina recovery build, especially because I understand the way Doctor Strange is basically trying to be played compared to his counterpart inside the Marvel Future Fight game, where the skill uptime is supposed to always be there for you, so that way you're just rolling through skills, but stamina recovery prevents that from being able to happen, right? So then we can look at my accuracy rate. It hasn't changed very much. I'm still at 107, but we can see my dodge rate is nearing the cap. I'm at 63%. My crit rate is at 59.4%. My critical damage is probably the thing that has jumped the most, and mostly because I acquired the Black Widow card. So that's sitting at about 230.7%, which is really good because the cap is really 300%. So I'm almost 75% of the way there. Then the critical damage decrease doesn't really matter, but this is the biggest difference overall in my build. I basically went to 32.3 defense pierce, and this has been making all the difference, because basically using Doctor Strange's I can't remember the name of the skill, the illusion skill, we'll pull it back up, but it's the one that basically increases defense pierce by 25%. This helps me get over about 50%, and the really good thing about that is I feel like 50% is the magic mark, right? Being at 50% basically solidifies you and being terms of like equalizing data. Anything above that, I think, is where the diminishing returns start to happen, but it's still beneficial up to the cap at 75%. I'm still testing those things out and playing with them. Now, I want to point out here that my cooldown decrease says 48%, but it's not really 48%. My cooldown decrease is way higher than this, but I'm taking the 15% penalty because of Will of the Destroyer, the specialization trait. So it's -15, but I'm going to hit that 48% cap inside there. It's not really making that big of a difference anyway, like I said, because of stamina recovery being such an issue. Having the high cooldown doesn't really help if, you know, you can't actually utilize the cooldown times because you're basically battling stamina recovery. But I am working really diligently to get that stamina recovery max as well. Other than that, stats across the board, these basically depend on how you're looking at, you know, certain stats and things like that for areas of play and things that you're going to get. This is really randomized stats inside here that you really don't necessarily control, or that you necessarily can't really into, you know what I mean? So it's like one of those things. Basically, I want to show you something else as well, some changes that are coming up in my build. Basically, you can see right here that I acquired the Hydra Empire cloak, and I got really lucky on this one. Really lucky on this one. I'm pretty happy with this cloak. I would consider this probably a god roll cloak for my build, where I got critical damage, critical rate, and defense pierce. As I pointed out to you guys before, status effect accuracy is just one of those builds that's really not, it's one of those things on Doctor Strange that's really not helpful. So getting that inside here was just not good at all. So I'm gonna take about a 20%, 26% hit to my critical damage when I do make this switch over, but it's a switch over that's worth it. I'm just waiting for that first nano infusion stat to happen, because I don't want to get rid of this cloak. So I'm not trying to use this cloak to roll that in. So I'm waiting right now, and as soon as I get that, I'll throw this on there. That's going to have a significant impact on my card sets. The other ones are still the same, but here we go. Like for instance, this critical damage, critical rate stat over here, this is why I'm getting one of those nice bonuses. These are the things that you need to pay attention to, and this comes into like what Godslave said. Basically, you're going to hit a point in the game where trying to re-roll these things is not going to be beneficial to you overall. So it's going to put you at this, you know, hindrance point where trying to re-roll stats on things like your Omega cards and your you know, your regional sets could be detrimental to you. For instance, I look at these gloves over here, right, and these are not good stats on the gloves. Like I literally have critical damage decrease, guard damage decrease. These stats really don't make a difference, especially Doctor Strange, who's always getting guard damage broken. in, and it doesn't make a difference whether they hit a crit damage on you or not, because Doctor Strange is kind of like, you know, he's not taking a hit anyways. I've never had a problem with Doctor Strange basically dying because he can't take a hit, and that's one of the reasons why I've tried to increase my dodge rate so much, to rely on a separate stat, not to rely on his crit, or on his not to rely on his ability to take a hit. That's essential to the character. Doctor Strange isn't a stalwart character, so he shouldn't have, you know, a high guard damage. He shouldn't have a high defense. He's not a stalwart character. That's not what he's made of. You know what I mean? And then you can look at my boots, which definitely, you know, most people, other than this HP recovery stat inside here, I could try to roll for Hydra Empire stats, but this is a pretty good one in terms of stamina recovery, cooldown decrease. So I'm going to be switching this cloak out. That's going to help. But the thing that I really got lucky on in this build was the rerolls in the workshop for badges. So badges, basically, I got really lucky, guys, like really lucky. I want to show some of these off to you. I always had this one with dodge rate and guard damage decrease, and this isn't necessarily the best that I could have, but it's really good, because inside here you can see I have two of the primary stats that I really need in terms of this. Like, I would love to be able to put a defense pierce core frenzy on here instead of the critical damage one, but I just don't have the core right now to do it. When I do, I'll probably end up switching this out for crit damage. We'll see, because I'm liking those crit damage numbers, especially against super villains and so forth like that, right? And then we have the critical rate. Guys, I know it's going to seem really nice to want to hit those attack numbers, right? And to see those to have that high attack score. And this is one of the things I end up doing, was basically switching out those attack cores of power and utilizing the critical rate ones. Trust me, you will love it better in the end. So you can see here, like, I'm going with core frenzy, defense pierce, but this was a badge that I got from the workshop rerolls. Straight up attack on the card. I mean, would I have preferred some defense pierce stats and something else like that? Sure, but you know what, having a straight up a 4-set bonus of attack, not too bad at all in my opinion, especially with these right here, which was going along with the build that I was trying to do anyways, where I'm trying to get that dodge rate and I'm trying to get my defense pierce up, right? The same thing happened over here for this badge. Got really lucky inside a workshop. Like, I'm not joking, I just got really lucky inside the workshop, and I got crit rate and attack, and so I just immediately ran to there, put a defense pierce and a core of power on there for crit rate as well, which is allowing me to jump it up. And then over here, I got a dodge rate and a defense one. I'm hoping to get a better, you know, a better battle badge than this one. You know, like, dodge rate is nice and all, and I'm definitely trying to hit the max on my dodge rate. But being able to have, like, maybe some other stats inside here. Now, obviously, I'm going to end up with a defense stat boost inside here in terms of dodge rate, so I can't really get much better. I just hate seeing this defense stat across the board on side here, right? And then I'm still rocking out with some of my other ones. These aren't necessarily good powers of infinity at all. Stamina recovery, cooldown decrease, HP, ultimate gauge recovery, those aren't good, but they are what they are. And then you can see this one right here. This was one that I've had where it was just high stamina recovery, cooldown decrease, and I basically equipped the crit rate and a crit damage one on there. So essentially, I basically got a big bonus in terms of being able to get really good rolls. This comes into something like what me, Godslave, and King were speaking about. The layers of RNG with battle badges is going to depend on the luck of your build, especially for a character like Doctor Strange, because you're not able to cap out on stats as easily, especially defense, pierce, crit rate and stuff like that. You know, that other characters actually have access to, like, you know, if you were to look at, like, you know, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow, they have access to total damage, they have access to max damage rate, they have access to crit rate, they have access to defense pierce on other pieces of their kit that we as Doctor Strange players don't necessarily have. So it kind of limits us, because we're looking at ways to try to facilitate hitting those caps overall. So that's where we're at with those stats. All right, so that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about those. And then what do we want to take a look at now? It's basically my potential. I'm nearing the finish line with this, and I have to be honest with you guys, nearing the finish line with this is making me happy. So this is going to be one of those other reasons why I don't necessarily see switching over to Magik when she's released. I am definitely going to 100% try to bring you guys content for Magik and just a full-on playthrough of the area, because I feel like it's important to kind of show you that that kind of stuff. So expect that at some point soon. But I also want to show you the Omega cards, right? Because the Omega cards is where I got really lucky, and that was with the Black Widow Omega card. Because basically on this card I got the critical damage, and it was a 32.5, and she's got a 5 grade inside here, which is really nice to have in there. Now the card is PvP damage decrease and critical damage and PvP damage increase over here, and I don't necessarily feel like changing the stat out because I want to be able to help my alliance inside of Alliance Omega War, because that mode is actually fun. So I don't necessarily want to switch it out. So my intent right now is to switch out my Doctor Strange card right here, where I basically have cooldown decrease, max damage rate, guard damage decrease, and a cooldown decrease. Now there's a reason for that, right? And basically if you were to look at some of my cards, I actually rolled a better card, and this is what I mean. So on here I got supervillain damage decrease, defense pierce, supervillain damage decrease, and PvP damage decrease. So it's not necessarily like the big wow factor card that, you know, you be like, hey, you really want that card. But when you compare it to a card like this one, where I've got PvP damage, total damage, and cooldown decrease on these, you know, that defense pierce matters a lot to me in terms of getting my stats, so that way I know when I'm hitting pretty hard. So I'm going to try to switch out that card as soon as I can. The only problem is I don't have enough gold to play around with the Russian roulette of transmutation to try to reacquire that card over here with a cooldown decrease damage inside here. I play more PvE than I do PvP, so having the supervillain damage decreases over here would be much more beneficial to me. It just is what it is. That's just one of the things. I was originally looking at pushing some of these cards in order to get them, but I'm finding the ability to get rolls on these rare cards to be truly difficult, and just not worth it, especially as I'm acquiring special cards. I know you guys are gonna look at this and be like, wow, goddamn dude, you got a lot of special cards. I do have a lot of special cards. I don't think I do by comparison to a lot of whales, but I do have a lot of special cards. And if I'm being perfectly honest, that's because I haven't rolled a lot for anything else in this game while I've been playing. It's just been Omega cards, because I felt like these cards were going to be the most important, because I feel like over time this is going to be the first place that's going to get hit up for red stars inside the game. If you guys play Marvel Future Fighter, Marvel Strike Force, you know exactly, Marvel Contest of Champions, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So look forward to that, right? So this is basically where I'm at with the build right now. I'm excited to still show you guys content for this game. Like, you know, I don't want you guys to watch any of my videos and feel like, you know, I'm leaving this game, or, you know, I hate this game or anything like that. I've been reading some of the comments, and it seems like people might be taking it that way, and I still enjoy playing the game. I do enjoy playing the game, but I do enjoy playing other games just a little bit more. But I enjoy bringing you guys content on this game. One of the things that has me in the utmost of frustration is the amount of times I've had to use specializations and fail, specifically on these parts, like my 9 out of 10, my 8 out of 10 over here, and then the other one I've even failed on this one at a 40% click 5 times now. So I'm like a little frustrated with those, but we'll see where we go from there anyways, guys. But I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy bringing you guys content. I am definitely going to play Magik and give you guys a full playthrough of her, but I don't see myself switching over to a full-time Magik play build. I just don't, and I'm hoping that we get some updates on Doctor Strange in the future, much rather sooner than later. I'm also thinking about bringing you guys a video on my setup that I have here inside the house. Let me know in the comment sections if you're interested in seeing that, and I'll make a video to show you guys how I live and what I'm playing on. All right, guys, until next time, peace.